Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through tonight's four-game slate in the association. A little bit of a reprieve after the 13-game slate last night. Even looking forward to the calendar tomorrow, just a 7-game slate. Feeling like we can catch our breath a little bit here over at ETR headquarters, which is just each of our own offices. So, Mike, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you've caught your breath today?
I feel amazing. Got a hike in, my first hike of the season today, so I feel really good. As you mentioned, 7-game Friday. We've been having big Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, which for me, I have to write matchups the day before, and then I'm always helping on minutes the day of. So yeah, really, really was nice to see to have it. And look at today, a spaced out games. We hour each way. We love it. So what a great day.
It is a great day as we inch deeper into November and into the heart of the NBA season. Let's get into the injury report stuff. There's plenty to talk about today. We'll start with Toronto and Philadelphia. Toronto, second night of a back-to-back here. Otto Porter Jr., who made an appearance last night, was a little bit surprising getting into the rotation. He will be resting tonight. Precious Achiuwa still listed as doubtful. Any other notes for Toronto tonight in their matchup with Philadelphia?
No, they just made their shots look great. Their half-court offense actually clicked for once. So, yeah, really big win. The Bucks are struggling. Worst transition. We'll talk about them tomorrow. But, yeah, they really are catching the Bucks with some issues. So, yeah, we'll see Chris Boucher be at the backup center. Grady Dick's already been in there for minutes. Gary Trent's minutes are not very safe. Dennis Schroeder continues to play it a lot. Good Jakob Poeltl minutes, which were more secure with Precious out. But, yeah, it should be mostly a run-back situation. A little bit more minutes probably going. Maybe they bring McDaniels back in the mix to get Aldo, but they might even just run a little bit tighter. We know Nick Nurse probably wants to get a little revenge.
Yeah, on the
get a little revenge on Nick Nurse, I should say.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if they'll a second night of back-to-back. I don't know if they'll necessarily go tighter. Yeah. I do think we'll see most likely Jalen McDaniels. It's been really disappointing seeing him kind of buried on that depth chart so far. On the Philadelphia side, no Nicholas Batum yet. Kelly Oubre expected to move into the starting lineup in the absence of PJ Tucker. So just in general, there were a lot of moving parts with this trade. What are your expectations for tonight? And then what are your expectations in general, what the future of Philadelphia looks like?
Yeah, so there was the way the Oubre thing was phrased, as you mentioned, he's going to start tonight, but it was quote unquote short term. So like we said on the pod, we kind of think Robert Covington makes a lot of sense. A, because he fits the scheme really well, and B, Kelly Oubre being scoring punch off the bench just seems to make sense to us. We'll see if Oubre could play well enough, which he has, to maybe earn a big 30-plus minute role there. But yeah, we'll expect those guys to start. So again, you're going to get a D'Anthony Melton, Maxey, Embiid, Tobias Harris, with Oubre moving in. And then we'll see Beverly in the second unit. Still going to probably see Jane Springer. We'll see if other guys can kind of fit in. And then, Paul Reed, Covington probably going to play tonight. I think he'll be integrated pretty quickly for, probably 20-ish minutes overall. But yeah, that mostly should be it. Obviously, they cut Danny Green as a procedural move too. So, but could be, a little thinnish. I could see minutes getting kind of pushed up here. We've got a really big minutes projection on Tyrese Maxey. I saw we were talking about, and I haven't really thought through the minutes yet there. But yeah, should be probably pretty good minutes against a pretty good defense. The Raptors are playing pretty well on that end.
Yeah, there's I think it's like a 9.5 point spread, so a little bit of blowout risk as well. But we'll note, I mean, Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey, 35 and 38 minutes in this game that they end up winning by nearly 30 points. So Nick Nurse is still going to keep those minutes really elevated. I think the nice thing for 76ers fans, if they're focused on kind of the future, is despite Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris in that blowout getting their minutes elevated, they were able to keep Joel Embiid at 29. And I think one of the big subplots of the season for the Philadelphia 76ers will be, can they find a way to have Joel Embiid of the regular season play like he does in the regular season in the playoffs? Because we just have not seen that same Joel Embiid transfer over to the playoffs, whether it's been fluky incidents that have impacted his health, whether it's been him wearing down over the course of time. So I thought that was a good sign in a blowout. A little bit concerning that they have to go that high on Tobias and Maxey, just generally. I'd like to see that balance out a little bit more, but not subjecting Embiid to that same type of workload, I thought was a really good sign early on. Let's move to the Pistons and the Pelicans. Pistons haven't filed their injury report yet. They are on the second night of back-to-back. We know Jalen Duren missed last night, so I assume he will pop up on that injury report once again. I'm guessing a questionable tag. I'm guessing this will be kind of a game-time decision that we'll deal with later. Any other notes that you have on Detroit while we await their injury report?
Yeah, not really. As you mentioned, he was on the bike yesterday. Sounded like he had an outside chance to play. Seemed pretty unlikely for a not very serious injury that wasn't really noted too much in game when he suffered. So, yeah, I think he's going to probably be game time. Maybe the back-to-back risk was why he sat yesterday. So I think he's 50-50 for me right now. Didn't get to the Monty presser yet, which I will shortly after this. Hiking hurting my schedule a bit, but was well worth it. But yeah, the other thing was Marvin Bagley minutes. That was a little bit tied to, oh boy, James Wiseman down bad, 4 fouls in 6 minutes against the Blazers. They really struggled. They missed Duren real bad on the inside. A lot of easy points for the Blazers last night. And then the other note, which we liked, Killian Hayes did not close last night. It was Marcus Sasser who closed over him because they did not have Alec Burks for a late scratch forearm arm injury, so he could be out probably, right? I mean, you get late scratch back to back, you're a little bit older. Marcus Sasser played great, just sit him out again. So I kind of think Burks is honestly less likely than Duren is, but mostly. And then do they just cut out? We saw Stewart run some 5 minutes. Do they just cut Wiseman out? I think that's got to be on the table now.
Yeah, I think it's certainly on the table for them. He was really bad. Like they don't necessarily need it. The matchup is an interesting one in the sense that you do need a big against Valanciunas' size, but Valanciunas is not a player that is soaking up a ton of minutes, right? So they could easily have Bagley in that spot if Duren's unable to go, kind of take on that matchup and then still minimize the role for Wiseman. But certainly interesting. Also encouraging for them. Marcus Sasser has played really well early on, another one of their draft picks. And, for most NBA fans, not, a player that is not going to get on casual NBA fans' radars for a long time, right? This is the type of player that Detroit would have to be making playoff runs for him to like kind of get on the radar or whatnot. But in terms of like taking that team to the next level, these types of players are really important. Having like a good, solid 7th to 8th player on your roster, that's often the difference between being really bad and mediocre. Is just having like solid players in that range. And I thought that was a really good thing for Marcus Sasser, who's looked good early on as well. Wanted to note that.
Yeah. Cason Wallace, Damani Kamara, a lot of players like that climbing up the depth charts really fast.
All right, let's move to the Pelican side where we got news that Zion Williamson is been ruled out for tonight's game. Second night of back-to-back, rest concerns there. Brandon Ingram still listed as questionable with the knee soreness. You had alluded to yesterday, just generally, that your expectations with Brandon Ingram with questionable tags is to be on the more conservative side of things, given his history of playing through questionable tags, which is limited. So what are your expectations for Brandon Ingram tonight, and how would things look for the Pelicans if they were without both Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram?
He got ruled out pretty early. Pre warmups, he got an MRI. I mentioned this multiple times that he is not a miss one kind of a game player for injury. He usually misses like 4, 5, or 6 games. So I think he's unlikely. We're gonna have to put him in again for this. Maybe it was back-to-back related why he got ruled out so quickly. And then obviously seeing Zion, so it makes some sense there. So Jordan Hawkins, we know he's starting, and then they're getting kind of thin here in the front court. I kind of think they may have to start Larry Nance at the 4 spot and then bring in Cody Zeller for minutes. I wouldn't be shocked if they do go a little bit smaller and maybe start Dyson Daniels as a 4 and with Herb and all that. That's just so small. So I think that they're probably going to have to start. Maybe they start Matt Ryan. I don't think that makes much sense. So I kind of would lean like if they're both out, I would kind of lean Larry Nance. If not, I think they maybe have enough size to go out there and start smaller. But right now, I think Nance has the inside track, especially with Brandon Ingram probably not having big minutes. So, I think Nance is going to start. Do you agree with me, or is there anything else that it seems like?
No, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think that makes sense. The depth issues are definitely starting to flare up in a big way, though.
Yeah, like Kaiser Gates. They actually when No, when Herb got hurt, they brought in Kaiser Gates. They like Kaiser Gates. He might be a
Yeah,
super dark horse.
Surprised EJ Liddell hasn't.
Yeah,
kind of, he lost rookie year to injury, but he was kind of thought of as being like that, backup 4 scorer off the bench type originally. Like, Bryce Sensabaugh is not the right comp because Bryce Sensabaugh is just such a much better shooter, but that kind of type of player from a scoring perspective, and just hasn't gotten the opportunity.
But I mean, just to go back to that really quick, they're Zion option A, Trey Murphy option B, Najee Marshall option C. They're running out of power forward options, so it's really, really tough to. I think they just have to play Nance. You're at option 4, so
yeah, and then I guess if they're playing Nance at the 4, then that would theoretically mean that Joe Val's minutes are just a little bit more secure at the 5, right? That, I mean, it's always uncomfortable to project Zoval. You see, even last night, right? Just 21 minutes, very productive in those 21 minutes, 19 and 9, plus 8 in those 21 minutes, but very hard to comfortably project him getting up closer to 28 to 30. If Larry Nance starts next to him, I think that's a pretty good signal that he's got a ceiling to him on the minute side. Now, a ceiling for him is not the same as a ceiling for other players. He's just got limitations in terms of his endurance, but we might get to see a 28 to 31 from Joe Val if Larry Nance Jr. is starting next to him.
Detroit's rim defense has been awesome, though. They've actually been the best in the NBA with rim defense per possession, partly during. They actually kind of held up a little bit yesterday against the Blazers, but gave them more opportunities.
All right, let's move to Orlando and Utah. On the Orlando side, nothing notable here. Just the G Leaguers are out. It's been kind of. We usually don't get like these types of teams like Orlando on the lighter schedule days, the Tuesdays and the Thursdays, because it's usually so much national TV stuff that these teams are playing on. So it's been interesting. Orlando seems to always be on these small slates. Any notes for the people on the Magic?
Just that Jonathan Isaac missed the last game. He'll be back. They did tighten it up. I think Jonathan Isaac's probably going to sit a lot of back-to-back, so that's something to put in our back pockets to possibly boost the minutes, although it did kind of bite us a little bit with Cole Anthony, picking up some fouls for over we had. Just put that in your back pocket. I think they're going to probably run at 10 like they've been with the starters we've seen: Ingles, Gary Harris, Cole Anthony, Mo Wagner, and Jonathan Isaac. So it should be a 10-man. May not get too many minutes against a defense that was getting wrecked night in, night out until they faced the worst offense in the NBA last night, the Memphis Grizzlies, which are just, oh my God. The Grizzlies are so bad. How bad are they? They're so bad, I'm considering betting Portland tomorrow. Like, that's how bad it is for Memphis right now.
It's a tough scene for the Grizzlies, tough scene for the public projection systems out there that loved the Memphis Grizzlies coming into the year. Let's move to the Utah side of things, which second night of a back-to-back here. Is there anybody that's on your radar? They have not filed their injury report. Is there anybody that's on your radar to be concerned about here? I couldn't think of anybody off the top of my head. They also just generally, they were in a blowout last night. They're generally not like loading up minutes on guys. So I didn't have anybody that I thought of. Is there anybody that you're looking out for or being aware of at 228, 328, at the 28, Mike Gallagher trademark?
No hashtag at 28 after stuff for me. Both these guys are pretty young with pretty clean injury histories. Laurie as well. They were sitting him late last year, but that was because they were tanking. So I think this is going to be a clean injury report. Didn't really see anything happen with them yesterday. And then maybe these guys got light minutes, but maybe Walker Kessler could play upper 20s minutes this time. It's been real tough scene for him.
Yeah, it's been frustrating. Even the game he played well against Nikola Jokic, the minutes were still like 26, 27, something like that. We just haven't had him unleashed. And one of the challenges of the acquisition of John Collins is, and this is without them even playing Taylor Hendricks, their first round pick. So it's been a frustrating start to the season for Walker Kessler minutes. Okay, San Antonio and Phoenix. A rematch of the thrilling game that we saw take place on Tuesday night. San Antonio's injury report is clean. Any rotation notes for them?
No, we kind of got this figured out. It was interesting to see that Doug McDermott got pushed down in the first half when they played Champagnie instead of him. That was it. So they went kind of right back to him. I don't really think there's anything to it. And then, as we've been saying, Malachi Branham is kind of the last man in. Jetty Osman's like clearly behind him, and he'll see more minutes when Wemby gets into foul trouble. But yeah, we know this rotation, and we've kind of known it really once the Keldon Johnson starting thing came out.
And then on the Phoenix side of things, Bradley Beal still listed out with the low back spasms, which is like really frustrating that we're not. The closest report we got to Bradley Beal playing was literally opening night when they were like, oh, maybe it's not, the back spasms have gotten better. That's over a week ago, and we haven't had even Bradley Beal get to a doubtful tag yet. So I don't know what's going on with Bradley Beal and these back spasms. Really, really frustrating start to the season there for a guy who I know both of us kind of backed as like, oh, some of the injuries stuff and the missed game stuff has been really due to tanking at the end of the season. He's actually not been as banged up as people are leading on to his availability. And then we start the season like this. We do get a Devin Booker upgrade to questionable tonight with the left ankle sprain. That's encouraging. Do you expect to see Booker tonight? Do you have any other notes on Bradley Beal? Because it has been silent from my timeline in terms of seeing anything on Beal.
Yeah, I also misspoke on saying Sohan over Keldon, excuse me. But yeah, so the only thing I could add on Beal, there was a video that went up like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, and Beal looked I don't know, if it's just a video, who knows what he was doing before or after, right? But he did not look right. So I think he's missing more time. So Booker, right, had a little bit of a toe thing, but I don't think the toe, and he's been listed with an ankle, which it looked like he suffered, with about 2.5 minutes left in the Golden State game, and he kind of like pulled up. There was commentary from him after the game saying he kind of gutted it out. And then obviously he's been missing games. Going to the last game, he was on the TNT broadcast. I believe the verbiage he used with Brian Anderson was, quote, pretty soon he would return. So certainly left the door open. He went through pregame shooting. That's a big, big step there. So he's trending in the right direction. We have him in, and we have him pretty full. I think we have him at 35 minutes because, again, ankles, you don't really need to trend up. I'm sure they want to get this game back after losing this one on their home court in really dramatic fashion. Probably one of the most dramatic fashion games of the year when KD gets ripped, his face is bleeding. It's really an entertaining game. So yeah, I would assume if he's in there, he's starting again. I think he's going to play. Probably put it like 60%. So it'll be him. Eric Gordon, I would say, is going to the bench quite confidently. Grayson Allen, Nurk Okogie, who's been really good for them. Kevin Durant. We'll see who gets bumped out. I think Jordan Goodwin may have earned it. Maybe they play a little bit smaller to bump out Nazir Little. We know Yuta Watanabe has been very valuable for them, and obviously you got Eubanks in the mix. So really the question is, if they go 10, who's out? If they go 10, they're all in. Who's getting cut the most? If they go 9, who's getting cut out? It's going to be between Goodwin and Little. Matchup-wise, and make you think it might be Goodwin, right? You kind of need a little bit of size here. And Nazir Little was actually pretty impactful in this game too. So I think I would hedge it a little bit, especially adding a guard. I think Little's a little bit, no pun intended, more likely than Goodwin is to get bigger minutes.
Yeah, the one caveat there was earlier in the season when Booker did play, it was Little who was out of the rotation. So we will see how they're treating this. Obviously, Goodwin, they've been willing to give a really big role. All right. That'll do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Before we get out of here, I did see someone asking a question about the props package and whether it caters to sites like Prize Picks and different things like that. Our props package, which we're off to a really good start and we're really proud of and all those things, it is not for everybody. We encourage everybody to read that FAQ if you are interested in subscribing. With regards to non-legal state betting options that are traditional books or different things like that, we are focused on bets specifically. Fantasy sports operators like Prize Picks, Underdog Pick'em, different things like that, where you need 2 bets at the same time to put together. We are not releasing 2 bets at the same time. So we would release 1 bet whenever we find a bet, we'd release it. You'd have to have something else you feel good about being able to go out and pair it with. So, you can always try the product. It's $50 a week. We only have weekly packages for the props sub because we recognize it's not for everybody. We want people to be able to cancel immediately if they need to. But it is definitely geared towards being able to bet one single line at a time. And getting, access to those lines is challenging because they move really, really fast when we release stuff. All right.
2 bets at the same time. That's what I'm going to say. 2 bets at the same time.
Yeah. And then LeBron, you can't play Underdog Fantasy, so I don't know why you're asking about this, but these questions are stuff that is on our radar to potentially be able to accommodate. I will ask for a lot of patience during the early part of NBA season when it overlaps with NFL and then overlaps with the holidays. It is a difficult time to institute new tech additions to the site, even things that may seem simplistic for you. have challenges to being able to implement and maintain and make sure the quality control is good. So I think we will be able to get to that request at some point during this NBA season, but it is less likely to happen immediately, is the way that I would respond. As always, if you're enjoying our content and you want to check us out with stuff that's behind the paywall, you can go to establishedrun.com/subscribe-MBA for more information. Please, if you're interested in the player props package, read the FAQ. We're doing really great. It's really hard to get the bets. That's one of the challenges. You either learn how to do it and get the bets, or it's not for you and you move on. It's kind of the way that it works out. We're 46-19 to start the season, nuclear hot. It's been really, really strong for us. I don't expect us to maintain that level of pace in terms of hit percentage. The last 2 years we've done this. We have a video on our YouTube page about that as well that you can look at the results. We've been really consistent around 13 to 14% ROI each of those 2 years. Right now we're at 30%. So we're running a little bit hot. I expect that to slow down, but I expect our pace to be more consistent with the 13 to 14% ROI that we've been able to generate the first 2 seasons. If you're interested in the DFS package, join us, check that out as well. Information on the subscribe page. You get Mike Gallagher's matchup columns 3 times a week. You get live shows 5 times a week, breaking down the slate. You get top plays analysis 6 times a week. And you get our projections for every single slate, every single game, so on and so forth. So that's the sales pitch on our different products that we have. If you just enjoy the free content and you really love the free content, that's all you want from us. All you got to do is hit that like and subscribe buttons. You hit the like button, you feed the algorithm, it helps feed our families. We can keep feeding you this NBA injury analysis and information you need for free. But without your likes, without your subscribes, we get lost in the algorithm. We don't get many views. We don't get any reason to actually continue to do this content for free. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and make sure to help feed our families. All right. We will be back tomorrow with another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show with the main man, Justin Fan, as well, joining the crew of the 3-man booth for the 7-game slate. We'll see you then. Enjoy the games tonight. Take care, everybody.